When the dollar crisis hit, that's going to be much, much bigger than what we're going through now. Because it could happen suddenly. We don't know the event. We don't know the time that the foundation is gone. And it could be possible that one day we could wake up and there could be something happening in the Far East and gold would be up $100 or $200 and the dollar would be, they would be deserting the dollar, and then there might be a rush for the exit. The end stages of the destruction of a currency comes quickly. And even though there can be a gradual erosion for many years, then it drops off. And we've had the gradual erosion of our dollar. You know, it's measured against gold. It's lost 98% of its value from 1913. Matter of fact, since 1971, it's 96 or 97% because the gold was held artificially. The dollar was held artificially at $35 an ounce. And even when it comes to the purchasing power measured by CPI, we've lost about 97% just in the last 30-some years since Bretton Woods was ended. But when it comes to measuring our dollar against other currencies, since 1971, it's down, you know, we're one of the worst because we're down against all the other currencies, we're down 33%. But that's not nearly as bad, but that's not a good measurement. Because there are other currencies too. All the currency eventually will go down. So when the crisis hit, I think it's going to definitely be worldwide because people still hold dollars. It's still a reserve currency. There's still a lot of bubbles out there that haven't burst. And therefore, it will be a worldwide event. And nobody knows what will happen after that. What the consequence will determine where we are, where our ideas are. Are we in a place of influence? Do we have more teachers and more people in journalism and more people in organizations like this? That will be it, because we have to have enough. We have to have people in Washington. We have to have the American people outraged. That is good, but they have to know what they're going to replace the system with. And that is our job, to be very, very positive on what the answer is. Yes, we're against the Federal Reserve, we're against this foreign policy, we're against this and this, against deficits, but what are we going to do? Does that mean you always have to answer the question, oh, you're against this welfare spending. That means you hate poor people. You know, you have no compassion. Well, the truth of it is if you care about the average person, poor people and family, the only option is free market economics and private profit. The opportunity is going to be there. I don't see how we can escape it. We just don't know whether it's 2 years or 5 years. I tend to think that it'll be several years. But it could come quickly, and then it's going to be political. And what will we do as individuals? Well, many of us, I'm sure, in this room have already thought about trying to protect yourself and your family and surviving a tough time. But first you have the economic financial crisis, then you have a dollar crisis, and then you have the political crisis and the breakdown of law and order. Now, that can't all be all that bad. Because when the dollar doesn't work, it means the federal government doesn't work very well either.
Yeah!
Talk about secession and nullification, but I'm not a radical, so I wouldn't talk about that. I can't even tell you what I think will happen. I think there will be de facto nullification and de facto secession because it will be very difficult.
Stone recently is the rising price of gasoline. That's something that the president has been dealing with. Newt Gingrich has come out with his campaign for how he plans to keep gas at $2.50 a gallon. What's your plan for tackling gas prices, and how do you plan to help the American voter?
Make my point, I say if he had sound money, it would cost about a dime. You know, in terms of silver, that's what you could pay for a gallon of gasoline right now. So it isn't the price of gasoline is going up as much as the value of the dollar is going down. But then again, the regulations and the lack of drilling and the lack of competition in production is one thing. So deregulation certainly would help. But that's half. You know, we all know about supply and demand of the product, but very few people talk about the supply of the monetary unit, and that's what transaction. So you can't ignore that. You can't just say, well, increase the supply of energy and all of a sudden the prices will go down. I think it'd be a hard time just by trying to increase the supply of energy and get gasoline down to $2. That's not going to happen. But I think it's a money issue that people forget about and they should be talking about.
So, Congressman, we've been having this little mini debate today about the ability of the Fed, once it realizes that that inflation is more than just a future worry, that they have the tools to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. And my question to you, I ask the question, if you just add up all the debts that we have here and all the entitlements, the promises, future promises that we've made here, and then go ahead and throw in Europe and throw in everyone, is the fiat currency that we have right now, does it really reflect the future obligations that we have? Could the Fed just say, okay, now is time and we're going to do it? I mean, or are we already too late?
No, I think it's too late because we've made the commitment. The only thing holding it together is sort of an illusionary trust in the dollar because there's no place else to go. Except some countries now are saying, well, it will end, so we better subtly move over and use gold and do other things in the Far East. You know, they're seriously talking about that, and even in the oil countries, they're talking about this. But for now, everything depends on the dollar. So if they come to a crisis where the prices go up and you need a Paul Volcker, you know, to do something, this would crash the economy. And of course, if you continue to do exactly what we're doing now, it crashes the economy. We're not there yet, but it will come. You know, last month,